Okay, and we are now live. This meeting of the City of Socorro City Council is set to begin. First and foremost, the City of Socorro would like to thank everyone and ask for your patience during this difficult time we have been presented with. Everyone, please remember to silence any electronics to avoid sound interruption. No disruptive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to call disconnection and possible prosecution. In accordance with Section 418.016 of the Texas Government Code and by order of the Office of the Governor, issued March 16, 2020, the City Council of the City of Socorro will broadcast the meeting scheduled today, Thursday, August 20th, 2020, at 6 p.m. from City Hall chambers located at 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, via telephone conference and live stream in order to advance the public health goal and practice social distancing to slow the spread of coronavirus COVID-19. The public that signed up and any presenters will be called upon by the presiding officer during the meeting to speak during public comment or their agenda item during the meeting following Government Code 551.042. La reunión del Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro está por empezar. Primeramente queremos darles las gracias y pedimos su paciencia durante estos momentos críticos que enfrentamos. Favor de poner en silencio todo equipo electrónico para evitar interrupción de sonido. No se va a tolerar ningún tipo de comportamiento perjudicial o revoltoso. A quien no siga estas reglas, su llamada será desconectada y puede ser infraccionado. De acuerdo con sección 418.016 del Código del Gobierno de Texas y por orden de la Oficina del Gobernador, anunciada el 16 de marzo de 2020, el Concilio de la Ciudad de Socorro transmitirá la reunión hoy, 20 de agosto de 2020, a las 6 p.m. desde la sala del Concilio localizada en 860 Rio Vista Road, Socorro, Texas, por medio de teléfono y será transmitida en vivo para tomar medidas preventivas para prevenir la propagación de la enfermedad del virus corona COVID-19 a los demás y por la seguridad del público. El público y los presentadores serán anunciados por el oficial conduciendo la reunión para poder hablar durante la sección del comentario público o después de la discusión del artículo de la agenda por cual se apuntaron siguiendo de las reglas del gobierno 551.042.
So for the meeting is now called to order. Mr. Arte, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
Rene Rodriguez,
Here.
Cesar Nevares,
Here.
Ralph Duran,
Here.
Mayor Elia Garcia,
Here.
Victor Perez,
Here.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Item number 4, public comment.
We have no speakers for public comment, Mayor.
At this time, can somebody entertain a motion to move item number 19 next?
Motion. Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 19, discussion and action to exercise option to renew contract with the lead ambulance service to the City of Socorro starting on October 1st, 2020, in the amount of $140,000 annually to authorize city manager or her designee to execute agreement.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is just to renew the contract. Every year, we have to come back to council and see if they want to renew the contract. There is no changes to the agreement. I think that we're doing great. We do have Mr. Campion on the line in case he wants to share, but I think right now our relationship is working great. I think the residents are happy, and I think we need to continue in this path. I don't know if you all have any questions.
Mr. Duran?
Mr. Campion, this last year, we went from having basically substandard ambulance service. Sometimes the ambulances would work, sometimes they wouldn't. We got brand new ambulances with city logos on them. Your staff is well-trained, and I witnessed it firsthand. Me and Mr. Nevares, he was on the other side of the fence. We witnessed it firsthand. We had our two ambulances. You brought ambulances in from Horizon City and someplace else. I don't know where the other ambulance came from, but the as quick as you all got there, the service that you gave to those people, especially the little kids. I mean, when I heard this huge crash, I went out there and before I knew it, the ambulances were there. And the way you took care of those people, your service was far and above what I would have expected to see. And for that, I think also we need to continue with elite ambulance service. The pride that we have now seen those ambulances driving around town, Bulldog 1 and Bulldog 2, with the logos on it, the professional staff you have, is way far and above what I expected. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those kind words. I really appreciate that, and our staff is proud to serve the community every day.
Mr. Rodriguez?
I don't know if we're willing to consider doing a 2-year instead of a 1-year contract. Is that something that we can consider, guys? Or we just want to go year by year? That's just a question that I'm posing. Because I agree with Mr. Duran, is they've been doing an excellent job. We know what we're getting now. We didn't know what we were getting prior, and the quality of service is just outstanding. Like Mr. Duran said, and I was just posing the question, do you guys would consider just doing a 2-year and then we'll go from there? Or do you guys want to just continue doing it yearly?
Mayor.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor and Council, Jim Martinez, City Attorney. The way it's written, it's a 1-year contract, and it can be renewed for an additional year. So the item on the agenda is to renew the contract. And if you're going to renew it, you can for a 1-year term. If you wanted to extend it to it and make it a 2-year term, technically that would be a new contract, and that would probably require a new procurement.
To follow up my question, Mayor. So then basically next year, Jim, we would still have to go through a new contract, correct?
It is renewable once for a 1-year term. Let me confirm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
So then we can just tackle it next year. Okay, that's all. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Perez?
I was going to say that when the contract negotiations come up for next year, we can negotiate to have a 2-year term if the service has been as good as it has been right now.
Mr. Duran?
I was just gonna echo what Mr. Pettis said. It's already here for 1 year. Rather than have Jim go back and make another contract, let's just go ahead and extend it the way it is right now on the agenda. And then, like he said, we can discuss it again next year.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Moving on to consent agenda, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 7, first public hearing on the City of Socorro's property tax rate. 611, public hearing is now open.
Mayor, if you would allow us just to go check if there's no one outside waiting for this public hearing, we are required to have it open to the public here in person. So we're double checking that no one's outside waiting.
Perfect, just let us know.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am, there's no one present.
Is there anybody on the line?
No, ma'am.
612, public hearing is now closed. Moving on to item number 8, public hearing of an ordinance for the proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of tracks 2, 3, 4, 7, 7A, 8, 8A, 9, 10, 11, 12A, 13, 13A, 13A2, 14, and 14A, Block 5 Socorro branch from C2A1 to ICMUD for a new development.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Public hearing.
It's a public hearing.
Oh,
Oh. Rookie mistake.
Public hearing is now open.
Mayor, we do have a speaker for this item, Enrique Escobar.
Good afternoon. Hello,
Go ahead, Mr. Escobar.
I'm just here to answer any questions if anybody has.
Thank you.
Public hearing is now closed. Moving on to item number 9, second reading and adoption of an ordinance for the proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of tracks 2, 3, 4, 7, 7A, 8, 8A, 9, 10, 11, 12A, 13, 13A, 13A2, 14, and 14A, Block 5, Socorro branch from C2A1 to ICMUD for a new development.
Motion to approve.
Second.
good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is a rezoning request for several tracts of land. These properties are north of Nuevo Hueco Chanks Road. We're asking for an ICMUD zoning. The purpose of this zone is to include a mixture of industrial and commercial zones. This is the area where we're asking for the zoning change. They're proposing to create Class A warehouses. I'm going to show you a conceptual drawing that was provided to us. So what you see on the screen here, if you can see it there, the yellow rectangles are proposed to be warehouses that are going to be distributors for Amazon, according to the applicant. These warehouses, like I said earlier, they're going to be Class A. It will consist of high quality buildings. They are high income earning tenants, and the vacancy rates are very low. They will generate income. They will bring in more taxes and jobs to the City of Socorro. Properties that you see on the lower part off of North Loop and Nuevo Hueco Chanks Road, this is going to be a commercial zone.
The applicant did mention that they're negotiating with several business owners to include Village Inn, Taco Bell, and several others. Mr. Escobar is also on the phone if you have any questions. I don't know if you have any questions about this proposed development.
Mr. Nevares?
This is good news. I
Yes,
love
sir.
it.
Joe, quick question. Madam Mayor, if I may, and I apologize, my dog wants to get into the meeting. I apologize for that. Regarding the frontage on Nuevo Sands Road, I'm guessing there were potential 18-wheeler traffic for delivery and pickup.
Yes.
So we have the necessary fits and all that stuff that goes with the ingress and egress of those types of vehicles.
Yes, sir. The roadways that are shown on the conceptual drawing, I don't know if I can put it on the screen just real quick so that I can show you. Roadways are designed to allow larger vehicles. As you can see, for example, the gray line that you see here, it's a 90-foot right-of-way. The streets that are going to be behind the commercial zone, those are 70-foot right-of-ways. So yes, they will be able to allow the flow of larger and smaller vehicles at once.
And then just to follow up, and so also the traffic immediately off of Westwood and Westwood Trans Road as well?
Yes, correct.
Mr. Duran?
Mr. Perez, this is just to change the zoning. They're gonna come back to us with plans for the buildings. And I think we can, just take this drawing and make some notes to ourselves to how we're gonna want those buildings put in. So right now, we're just planning or changing the zoning. And then we
No, I
can
understand.
go back and check it out.
No, I understand that. I just want to try and inform my vote as much as possible. Thank you. Yeah.
Your dogs like it too. I heard one of them.
Well, it's only one. Apparently he does, so.
Mayor, for the record, Ms. Colon Villalobos joined the meeting at 6:15.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Escobar?
Starbucks.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
No.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colon Villalobos. Ms. Villalobos?
She's muted.
Ms. Villalobos, I cannot unmute you.
Mayor, do we continue with the vote?
I think we can count her absent for this one, and then hopefully if she's having issues, she can let us know so we can give her time to connect for the next item.
And Ms. Colon Villalobos is absent.
Or maybe she can text someone.
Item number 10, discussion and action to approve the use of CARES Act funding for technology projects to increase telework capabilities and online municipal services.
Make a motion to approve.
Pues ya pasó, ¿verdad? Ya. Pero no dijeron approve ni nada.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is Alejandra Valadez.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Go ahead, Alejandra.
okay. This is Alejandra, Grants Coordinator. This is an item to approve the use of CARES Act funding for technology projects to increase the telework capabilities of the city and also increase online municipal services. As you know, the public health emergency and the current increase in positivity rate in the county means that we have to increase our telework capabilities in order to ensure continuity of government and that municipal services continue even in the midst of the current pandemic. For that, we are requesting additional Surface Pros and the Microsoft Office 365 suites for employees to allow them to work even during high spikes of COVID-19 positive cases. The website redevelopment will allow residents to access COVID-19 information services, also request municipal services online, pay for permits, fees, and other online services from the safety of their homes without having residents have to come down to municipal offices to request and pay for those services. The total cost is listed in your backup. It's approximately $52,000 that would come from our CARES Act funding fund. And I'm not sure if you have any questions.
Mr. Perez?
Thank you very much for that information. Just a quick question. So this all falls in line with the parameters set up for this type of funding?
Correct. We have an internal process where we confirm that these activities are eligible via the guidance from the U.S. Treasury. We have also confirmed that eligibility of these projects with El Paso County as well.
Thank you.
We have a motion?
Yes, we have a motion, Mayor. Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos. Ms. Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 11, discussion and action to adopt Resolution 625, approving the submission of a grant application to the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program Says 2020 Fire Ambulance Service Truck Fast Fund. The city's required cash match contribution is $5,000.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is a discussion and action to adopt a resolution to allow us to submit a grant application to the FAST Fund. There is a cash match requirement of $5,000. We are requesting your approval to request up to $500,000 for the procurement of 2 ambulances for our use within our city limits and to serve the residents of Socorro. I'm not sure if you have any questions.
Mr. Duran?
How would this affect the ambulance service that we have now? Are these going to be used by them, or are we going to have to hire our own ambulance people to use them?
No, under the grant guidance, we are allowed to rent these ambulances out, whether you choose by a nominal fee or some other form of arrangement. But they will be able to access the ambulances in order to serve residents in Socorro.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 12, discussion and action to adopt Resolution 626, approving the submission of a grant application to the Texas Community Development Block Grants 2020, Grant Programs 2020 Planning and Capacity Building Fund. The city's required cash match contribution is 25% or up to $20,625.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is another application to the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. This is for the 2020 Planning and Capacity Building Fund. There is a required cash match contribution of 25%, which is up to $20,625. The city will request up to $75,000 from the Planning and Capacity Building Fund for a transportation alternatives master plan to include a citywide bicycle and pedestrian network um, that will connect people to shopping centers, um, schools, and other areas of interest in the city.
Mr. Duran?
Will this connect the walking path that they have from Vinton to Tornillo?
Yes, this would tie in that plan. That is a Paso Norte trail that goes all the way from Vinton down to Tornillo. And it'll also explore alternative routes that we can tie into our existing canals or drains that will allow pedestrians and bicyclists to safely travel throughout the city without having to use motorized vehicles.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 13, discussion and action to ratify a letter of support for Project Amistad's grant application to the Department of Community and Human Development for ESG CV Phase 2.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is just an action to ratify a letter of support that was requested by Project Amistad. They are submitting an application to the Department of Community and Human Development for the Emergency Services Grant, Phase 2. The Project Amistad does provide services to residents in Socorro via its ADA transportation program, the Adult Guardianship Program, the Money Management Program, and the Amistad for Veterans project. And so at the moment, they're requesting CARES Act funding through that ESG grant and would like our support.
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos absent.
Item number 14, discussion and action on approving obtaining a set of 3-use modular buildings from the Government Service Program to utilize as a holding area for COVID-19 positive arrestees. The funds would be obtained from the COVID Relief Fund.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. David Burton, Chief of Police. So up to this point, we have not planned for holding, and we have not had the occasion to presently hold COVID-19 positive arrestees alongside individuals that would be negative. Obviously, that presents a dilemma for us. Honestly, we've just been lucky, but that's not effective planning. So when we did receive the CARES Act funding, we started looking at the alternative facility where we could house an individual or individuals that were COVID-19 positive that would not affect, number one, the majority of the staffing or any other arrestees who are present. So we started looking around at the government surplus program. Obviously, you know that that's one of the programs that we do use. And we found 3 buildings that can be transported to us and assembled, along with utilities and some internal construction that we would need to put up the cell area or the holding area, and that cost came to $125,000. The other thing that this building could be used for is if we had to move operations. And again, we haven't planned for that. We don't have the facilities for that. So this would be a secondary use. We've had a few positive cases within the department. Luckily, it has not been widespread, but I'm sure that you don't have to go so far back if you remember what happened to Sunland Park Police Department, where they had to close down the entire police department. So this would allow us to move patrol operations from non-affected personnel into this facility until the main building could be disinfected and cleaned. The alternative to this would be a new construction project, and I just attached a website search that you could use, but we may be looking at as much as $180,000 plus utilities. The $180,000 was for the shell, and then we would have to add utilities on top of that. Just to give you an idea, for our main building where we're sitting right now, the utilities cost us an additional $30,000. I'll take any questions if you have. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to point out is this has been through our own legal. This has been through county legal, and we do match the language requirements for the COVID relief fund or for the CARES Act. I'll take any questions.
Rene Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 15, discussion and action on approving the tear down and build of a new handicap ramp and decking for police headquarters in the amount of $29,875.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Chief David Burton again. So as you're aware, you allowed us very generously to use some of this CIP money for improvements at the police department. The original entranceway into the department was roughed in. It was not a developed type entrance where it was aesthetic and or long-term. So we would now be looking to do that. We would be looking to increase the platform that actually presents the entrance to our, or the front entrance to our main building, allow better handicap access. We would be looking to add a wrought iron fencing design so it has more stability for individuals who require assistance to get up to the main doors, because as you know, we're on an elevated platform. And also we will be adding 2 stairways in addition to the ramp to help with egress into or entry into the main building. This money would come out of the CIP that you've approved for me already, which, just as a reminder, was $240,000. But because the purchase price on this decking was over the $25,000, I thought I came to the city manager with it, and after discussing it, we needed to come to city council, so we matched the purchasing language.
Rene Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 16, discussion and action to announce the date on which city council will take final action on the tax rate and on the municipal budget.
Motion to approve.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We did have our first hearing this evening. We do have a set up second hearing for September 3rd and the final adoption for September the 10th.
Rene Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 17, presentation and discussion regarding tax rate calculations, revenues, and expenditures for the city of Socorro's proposed budget for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, you do have the backup of our current budget that we want to approve for next fiscal year. The only items that have changed, and this is going off of the 8% increase that we adopted the last time. If that changes, we can move those numbers around. And this includes the wish list that was, the necessities list that was given to you all in our workshop. Do you all have any questions?
René Rodríguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 18, discussion and action to approve municipal judge 2-year contract and authorize city manager or her designee to finalize contracts.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the contract for the current municipal judge does end in September. So I am bringing it up for renewal. You all have any questions? We're not requesting any type of changes.
Mr. Duran?
I have one question for Jim. In our city charter, under section 4.04, paragraph C, it says the appointment shall take place within 30 days following the general election of said city council and will be for a term of 2 years. If our election's in November and the contract says, what does it say? The contract is, I believe in, where is that? September 1st. How is that? Are we in violation of the charter if we do this now or what?
Yeah, there's no good answer. The contract is, we've always had the contract for 2 years. The problem is it doesn't always get executed or agreed to right away. And so there's extensions and there's renewals, and really the bigger problem is we've now gone to 4-year terms for city council. So as a practical matter, you're just not going to meet that requirement because you have an ongoing contract that lasts beyond that 30-day period when a new council takes office.
So your answer is we're not in violation of the charter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you are. I think the way the charter is written, I mean, between the terms of office and then the contract, the municipal court requirements or the requirements for the municipal court judge, I think it's internally contradictory. I don't think you can comply.
I also have another concern. I'd like to go into executive session to go over with consultation with the attorney. So we can move this item to executive session.
We have a second?
Okay, then we'll just put it here in the open session. And Jim, you can stop us if we need to go in executive. I have another concern which came up. It's in regard to 37 citations that our Judge Velarde was the attorney of record for in JP6 after she was appointed judge. And all of these, there's 37 different citations, and they had to do with the Socorro Police Department. Is that a conflict? I mean, she is the judge and these officers do have to come before her. And I just think that, that we need to look at this before we move forward.
Mr. Duran, I didn't quite understand. There are citations that she heard where?
In JP6. But they were all concerned with, these were all citations issued by the City of Socorro Police Department.
Okay, and she heard them when she was serving as a municipal court judge?
Yes, she had already been sworn in, and this happened in February of 2017. She got sworn in 2016.
Okay, yeah, I don't know of any prohibition on her serving is she the elected JP for JP6?
No. She was not in JP's. She was not the elected. That was Judge Lujan. She was our municipal court judge.
But I guess that my question is, how did she, I mean, in what capacity did she hear them? She was
She
sitting
did
for
not hear
Judge
them.
Lujan?
She was the attorney of record.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. So she's representing the defendant before Judge Lujan.
With, with Socorro PD. She was the attorney of record. It was heard in Judge Lujan's court. And they were, these are the same officers that have to deal with her on a day-to-day basis. And I just think that we need to look at this further before we proceed.
Get it. I mean, I can tell you that that alone doesn't pose a conflict for the city. I mean, that doesn't preclude her from serving as our municipal court judge. Whether or not it's a conflict to represent that individual defendant before Judge Lujan is between her and the defendant or between her and the state bar.
So in other words, she can continue hearing cases with Socorro PD.
Yeah, I mean, again, yes. The short answer is yeah. What she does outside of her work with Socorro representing other defendants before other tribunals with Socorro PD involved or El Paso PD or EPSO, that doesn't affect her ability to sit as our municipal court judge.
I want to disagree with you because the very officers that are coming before her, I mean, to me, I would think that they wouldn't want to antagonize her. So some of them didn't show up, I'm sure, because I noticed all of them were dismissed.
Yeah, and again, that might be a conflict. I mean, stuff she does before in other tribunals with other agencies might be a conflict in that for what she's doing there. But that's not a direct conflict for the city in terms of her work for the municipal court. A citizen, a defendant, a municipal court police officer has the ability to file a grievance with the State Bar of Texas if anyone thinks she has a conflict of interest for work she's done in a different tribunal.
Okay.
So the motion is made by Mr. Duran, seconded by Rene to approve. Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
I'm conflicted here. I just don't see how there wouldn't be a conflict. So I'm gonna have to vote no.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 20, discussion and action to review ordinance number 250, amendment number 1, strategy and investment policy for the city of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are required through the ordinance that we review this annually. This is something that the auditors knocked us this last fiscal year. So I'm bringing it before you so we can kind of go through it. I don't know if you have any suggestions that we change. It doesn't mean we have to change it, but we have to review it annually. I do have the city auditor and our finance director right now going through it and making some adjustments, but that probably won't happen till next fiscal year.
Mayor?
Rodriguez?
I'm just gonna put my 2 cents in here. I looked that over. I think that if we approve, we can go ahead and approve it and then let our auditor and look at what changes we could do for next year. But I think right now it's good. And we can vote on it and then they'll bring us the changes and then later on we still have time to tweak it per se, if need be.
Mr. Martinez, can we, if there's a need for changes, can we make the changes before the next annual review?
Yes, ma'am, it's an ordinance. I mean, you can always come back and amend an ordinance, sure.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Item number 21, discussion and action to direct staff to provide council with the construction cost of Coker Road.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Mayor and council, we have been receiving several complaints regarding the Coker residents. It's been years and years of them not having a roadway just like the Varela and Ormsby. Every time it rains, it creates a huge impact for them. You know, Mr. Nevares has been receiving the frunt of all the calls. And so we want to bring back, since we are doing something about Ormsby and Varela, see how much the construction cost would be in order for us to add it to our capital improvement program. We do have a speaker for this item, in case you guys want to hear from the constituents.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is something that we've been trying to tackle for many years, and for some strange reason, it just doesn't happen because either our budget constraints and stuff like that. So this is something that we need to already start doing. And just like Mr. Nevares, you know, calls come in all the time. Calls come in all the time. And it's frustrating because, you know, I've been there in that situation as well. And monsoon season comes and goes, and it's just another predicament because we have to use our resources to go and clean and pull these people out. And it's just very, very, it's just a bad position in the state that they're in.
Mr. Duran?
Who owns this road? Is it a city road or is it owned by the people?
It's a combination of both. According to the residents, there is easements, and that's why we're asking council if we can look into it so we can bring you back more information and to the construction cost and if we need to acquire any land.
Mr. Duran?
I think we need to take little baby steps here. We need to first find out who the land belongs to before, because every time we go out and request construction costs, we get charged for it. And this way we can find out first if we can, because I've heard that different people own it. We need to find out who owns the road. And I believe one of the obstacles was that somebody's in probate. So let's find out if we can move forward. And of course, I mean, if we can take care of people, and then we need to find out how the floods are going to affect the road. And our planning and zoning department can let us know how we have to build a road to withstand those floods, because I can't see spending a lot of money and then having a 50-year flood come and wipe and just wash it all into the drain. But let's find out who owns the property. Then let's move on to putting it on the for further consideration. That's just what I mean. I don't want to go out and find out that it's going to cost 1.2 million, and then when we do have the money, we have to, pay again to have them give us an updated cost. So let's find out first if we can do it, if the people, who owns every bit of that land, and how much we're going to do before we go getting cost estimates and having them charged. Because I remember with the roundabouts, we got charged for doing that, and we haven't done anything with the roundabouts. And if we ever do, we'll have to do it again, and we'll get charged again. I don't know, is Mike in here?
Yes, sir.
Mike? Someplace. Mr. Medina?
Mr. Medina, can you unmute yourself?
Can everybody hear me now?
There you go. Yeah, can you
Okay,
hear me,
yeah,
Mike?
sorry about that. Yes, sir. You
Okay,
had a question?
yeah,
Mr.
I
Willis?
mean, how should we proceed? Shouldn't we find out first who owns that property? And second,
Well,
once we find out who owns it, then we can move on as to, and then another question is, every time we get a cost estimate, don't we have to pay for that cost estimate?
so I think with regard to when we're developing the project, the whole idea is to bring it before the body so there's direction, that there's uniformity with the decision-making. Certainly that would allow me and the department to start identifying the parcels that are owned by anybody, to see where those parcels lie. Are they simple fee or does somebody owe taxes, what have you? And I think that relatively we can do that prior to doing any type of engineering costs, because with the engineering costs, we will be looking at the determination of the cross-section of the roadway. And so ultimately here, we do know as a function of history and working with some of the FEMA maps that this area is prone to flooding. So I think that in any scope of the decision-making here, if the item is amended to direct staff to do some type of ground truthing, we can come back and report that certainly. And then if the decision is to move forward with the engineering costs, we should come back. And yes, certainly every time that we ask our engineer to provide engineering estimates, there is a related cost to that.
Mainly what I'm suggesting is, let's find out if we can do it first. And then we move on to the next step of how we're going to pay for it. And then we can, because we know more or less, I think Mr. Medina can give us a ballpark figure of what it's going to cost. That way we can put it on our capital improvements. And because, yeah, everybody deserves a road to get into their house. Everybody does. But, I can't see getting a cost estimate and then finding out that, there's no way we're going to get all of the easements that we need or all of the right-of-ways. We just wasted that money on something that's not going to happen until we get those right-of-ways. So I think when, Mr. Nevares, if you can change your motion so that we can take the little baby steps and find out first before we, invest in cost estimate that will change.
Mr. Nevares?
We've been taking baby steps on this project for a long time, and these folks are yearly complaining about this. I think baby steps have passed by now. I do request some expedited information, Mike, and from your team. Let's move on pricing. Let's move on. I do agree with who owns the properties, but I don't agree with baby steps. Let's hurry up and get some information here. We constantly just do the little band-aids. It rains and we go and plug up. We help clear the streets. I don't agree with you, Mr. Ralph, on baby steps. Let's expedite information, Mike, and let's stop giving these folks the runaround.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Mike said it best. Mike is our planning director, so he said it best. He needs direction from us in order for him to do what he needs to do, get all the information, period. So the motion is set.
Mayor,
Mr. Duran?
I think you misconstrued my baby steps. I think these are, we can expedite them. Let's find out who the land belongs to first. Then we can move on to how much it's going to cost us. Then we can move on to finding the money to do it. And we can do that fast, steps, not,
That's always the process. Let's get it done. Let's get it done.
Where are we going to get the money from?
Let's
We
move on.
already have another street. Wagner, let me finish. I do have the floor. We do have another street that we've already put on the capital program. It's it's going to cost us quite a bit of money, which we don't have. We're going to have to look for that money in grants and so forth. We don't even know if we can do this street. So why are we going to spend the money? Let's wait until we find out, can we move forward? We can have that by the next meeting. Mike can go ahead and find out who everything belongs to. Then at that meeting, if he says, yeah, we can do it, then let's move forward with finding out the cost. But I can't see spending money right now to find out how much a project is going to cost if we don't have the money, and if it's going to find out that we can't do it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, well, let's give the people a runaround. No, they have been getting it for a long time. And Coker Road, every time it rains, everybody just gets ready to pull out their 4x4-wheelers to get out of there. Yeah, they do deserve a road. Everybody does. We're trying to help everybody that we can. Okay, I listen to you. Please listen to me. That's all I'm asking. Let's just get.
Seems like you're extremely talkative today. Let's move on.
We do have a speaker for this item.
Victor Bonilla.
Oh, hi, good afternoon, council members. My name is Diana Ronquillo. I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm sorry, ma'am, can you repeat your name?
Diana Ronquillo.
Diana Rodriguez.
And with me, I have our neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Bonilla, and my husband, Alex Hernandez. And we've been living here on Coker Road. We're in between Warsham and Anderson. And on this street, we really don't get flooded. And the thing is, but when it rains, it's impossible to get in. And since there's like a ditch in between our property, well, not our property, from the street and the other street on the other side, we have to be careful when we're driving because we're afraid of falling into that ditch. And there's no gravel, it's just pure mud. Our cars get stuck. We need to ask the neighbor to get us unstuck with their tractors. It's just, we're paying taxes. And all we're asking is for you guys to help us out in some way. Maybe if you can level it meanwhile and put some gravel for the meantime while you guys try to figure out what you can do. But meantime, we need help. And I understand what District 2 council members saying that, oh, well, we don't know. Well, when there was big floods, you guys found out and you guys knew. You had the Army Corps of Engineers come out and find out where everything was. And I don't know why you guys have been taking so long since 2006 to do something about this issue. And if you take baby steps, you're just putting it on the back burner. You're really not going to do much. It's just going to keep carrying on and carrying on. And we do have families that live out here.
Ms. Ronquillo, your time is up.
Thank you.
What was the motion?
Was that our only speaker?
Yes, Mayor. Rene Rodriguez.
I asked you to repeat the motion. What was the motion?
To approve.
Renee.
Oh, I didn't hear her. Aye.
Cesar Nevares.
You sound far away.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Perez.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
We have anything for items number 22, 23, or 24?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Motion to delete items 22, 23, and 24.
Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Perez,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent.
7:02, meeting adjourned.
Be safe, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye, Mayor.